this is how the session is going to work. We're going to start off, I'm just going to take you through how the seminar or how the software works. And then we will go to Wendy Fletcher, our program officer, and she's going to give you a brief presentation going over some basic things about living in Halifax, going to Dalhousie, and also just some things you'll need to know as a graduate student. And then we'll have a bunch of time for questions. So I'm going to show you how to ask questions. So the way that this chat will work is that we are going to respond verbally to questions, but for the sake of keeping things easy technologically, and we have a number of people who are joining us today, so it would be a little bit chaotic if we were all using a microphone. So basically, we're going to ask you to type your questions into the bottom, the screen there on the bottom left. It should be fairly obvious. You can probably see down there that there's a question that just appeared there. So that's where you're going to type your questions. We'll be able to see those questions, and what we'll do is we'll basically compile them all together and summarize them, and I will give them to Wendy to answer. So if you have a question, please feel free to type it into that window, and we will do our best to answer it. If we can't answer it, we will direct you towards the best place to find out the information. So we'll have about at least 30 minutes for questions if you have any, and if we can't get to them, we'll try to answer them over email after the webinar. This webinar is also being recorded as well, so we should be able to provide it to you afterwards as well. So I think that's basically all you need to know. Oh, the only other thing that we'll show you is that we might ask you some questions throughout the presentation, and there's actually a feature on the software that allows you to answer our questions. So if you follow the mouse there, if you go up to where you see the, oh, okay, apparently he can't show you. So if you see underneath where it says your name under participants, you'll see a little hand, and then next to the hand you'll see a checkbox. So that's just a way for you to respond to questions that we pose. So let's just say we ask you, have you registered for your classes yet? You'll be able to go up to that checkbox there and answer yes or no. And that's just a way for us to kind of encourage some interaction during the webinar. So yeah, that's basically all that you need to know. It's pretty straightforward. So we are now going to start going through the presentation. And if you have questions during the presentation as well, just feel free to type them into the box as we go, and then we'll start taking them after the presentation. So with that, I'm just going to turn it over to Wendy now, and she's going to go through the presentation, and we hope that you enjoy the webinar. And thank you again for joining us.
Thank you, Caitlin. Hello and welcome. I'm glad you were able to join us today. I've gone over the number of people who have actually registered for today's webinar, and we have people from every province in the country, so that's pretty good representation. Maybe I'll just start with a quick little question. If you could go to that checkbox there. How many of you have ever been to Halifax? Could you just let us know how many have been to Halifax? So quite a few of you have been here. Some of you haven't been here. Well, we're going to take about 5 or 10 minutes just to talk a little bit about some of the key things you need to know that we think you need to know about Halifax and about Dalhousie, and some key things that we think you need to know about registration and things like that. All right, so we're going to. Can you click? Let us know where you. I think now you can see the map of Canada.
Should be able to see. So on the left-hand side of the screen there, you should be able to see some tools. So you'll see a little star picture there. If you want to click the star and use the star to click what province you're from, then we'll get kind of a sense for how many people are in the webinar and where everybody's from. So we'll just take a minute there to do that. It's possible that we're having some technical difficulties. Just a second. All right.
Okay, sorry about that.
Part of the software is not working, so we'll just move on to the presentation.
But we do have a list, and we do know that we have people who signed up from right across the country, so that's good. So now you have in front of you some different pictures of Halifax, mostly sunny because it never rains here. No, that's not quite true. We do get some rain here. But there's a lot of activities in the city. We're close to the ocean. We have a lot of, we're also the center of, we're the largest metropolitan area east of Montreal, so we are the center for sports and culture and research. We have a population of around 300,000 people. So there's a lot to see when you get here. You see up in the left-hand corner a picture of Point Pleasant Park. That's within walking distance of Dalhousie. A lot of people go there to run. If any of you are runners, it's a great location for running. If you're a dog lover, people can go there and walk their dogs. There's also certain times of the day that you can bicycle in there. The picture in the middle at the top is a picture of our historic properties. It's also a vibrant area for tourism, boat tours, tours of the harbor, museums, and also cruise ships come into the historic properties. And to the right, the picture is of George's Island, which is in the middle of our harbor, and you can actually see a cruise ship there, parked. I guess it's docked as opposed to parked. In the lower left-hand corner, that's the Buskers Festival that we have every summer, usually in August. In the middle at the bottom is Citadel Hill, an old historical site which is open to the public, and they have period costumes and interactive tours for tourists. And over on the right-hand column, I assume, I'm not sure exactly where that picture is from, but it's one of the many spots in the city where there'll be lots of live entertainment. Okay, so that's sort of an introduction to Halifax. The next picture is of weather in Halifax. Top left-hand corner is a picture of Halifax in the summer. Top right-hand corner is a picture in the late fall. You can see a lot of the leaves have already fallen. You can see a bit of color there. Bottom left is the spring. You'll see some damp weather. That's why we get so much greenery here. And to the right is our winter. So we do get snow in the winter time, but our winters vary from year to year. Some years we get a lot of snow and some really cold weather, and some years we hardly get any snow and very little really cold weather. Because we're on the ocean, our summers and winters are moderated. They're never really, really hot, and they're never really, really cold compared to the rest of Canada. Usually our best vacation time in the summer is late July and August. But as I say, you know, the seasons vary from year to year, but that's generally how it's been for the last few years. Also, a good recommendation, and thank Caitlin for this, is it's a good idea to come with good rain gear. And it can be very fashionable, and I see some really interesting raincoats and rain boots and umbrellas. You'll definitely get your money's worth out of whatever you bring for rain gear. Okay, so living in Halifax, that's a map of the peninsula that Halifax, the main part of Halifax is on. That's what we call Old Halifax. Halifax is certainly bigger than that today, but you'll see the yellow towards the bottom. That's the south end of Halifax, and the yellow is Dalhousie. That's all Dalhousie campuses. So you can see we take over a good chunk of the south end of Halifax. And the red line separates the south from the north. Then the other red line that's kind of that's parallel with the harbor separates the north end of Halifax from the west end of Halifax. The city certainly does go into the other side of the harbor, which is Dartmouth, out to Clayton Park and to Bedford, and a lot of students live in those areas because it's much less expensive in those areas. And I think we do have a slide on housing, which we will go to next. So it's a university town. We have a number of universities right on the peninsula and just outside the peninsula. So come August, we have a whole lot of students. Right now, there's not a lot of students around. It's an ideal time to get around because you know, it's just the residents for the most part who are here in the city. But come August, you'll have a lot of students looking for a place to live, so it's not too early to start looking for housing now. It's not too early at all. The South End, because it's close to Dalhousie, the accommodations in the South End tend to be more expensive, but they are very handy to the city, so it's a trade-off. It's what matters most to you. If you go to the North End, you're still close to the city, to the campus, sorry. You're still on the peninsula, but rent does tend to be cheaper in the North End. One thing that you always want to ask when you're looking for an apartment is whether or not the rent includes heat and electricity. I would say most do, but they all don't. So you don't want to assume that the rent that you're paying is going to cover heat and electricity. You certainly want to check into that. Also, another good thing about this city, because it is a university town, there are lots of discounts and advantages for students. And one of those is the grocery stores. They have a discount every Tuesday for students, and you get 10% off your groceries on Tuesdays. I guess the other thing I would say about living in the North End or living in Clayton Park, which is off the peninsula, is the rent is certainly cheaper, the bus system is good, and there are other ways of getting around town. And I think that takes us to our next slide, which is transportation. I wonder if I'm going too fast or if anybody has questions before I move into transportation. Okay. Have any of you tried to, I'm going to ask you a question. Have any of you tried to find housing yet? If you could just click on that checkbox. That's great. Most of you have. Those of you who haven't, you might want to start looking. We do have some, we gave you some websites, or we will give you websites so that you can start looking for housing sooner rather than later. Okay, so transportation in the city. All full-time university students pay for a Metro Transit pass, which is good from September to April. It's part of your student fees. It's automatic. So, and that's a good way to get around. You can go all the way from downtown Halifax way out to Sackville, which is a fair distance. Quite a hike in the morning. Some students do come in from Sackville every morning, though, and they come in from further away. Also, if you're going to be landing in Halifax by plane, you can get from the airport to downtown Halifax for approximately a $62 cab fare, and that'll take you right to where you want to go. You can also get the Metro Transit bus for $3.50 one way. So that's pretty economical. That'll drop you off downtown. And then once you're in town, a lot of people travel by bicycle. But I would also add, a lot of people walk. It is a walker-friendly city, and it is a bicycle-friendly city. And Dal has just recently put in a whole lot of bicycle racks, trying to make it more bicycle-friendly for students. Okay. Next slide is on-campus services. So that's a website that you'll want to look into. That's especially for those of you who have not looked for housing yet. And those of you who said you looked for housing, I didn't ask you if you found housing, and hopefully you have found housing. Anyway, that website there will help you. So residence housing is for the most part, residence housing is for undergrad students, first-year undergrads coming to the city away from home for the first time. They get precedence, but that doesn't mean it's too late to at least go on a waiting list for university housing. We do have a small building that is designated graduate housing. It's small, but again, it's probably full, I would say, by now, but you can certainly make an effort to see if you can go on a waiting list for that. Also, the bookstore, you can go into the bookstore now and look at the classes that you're going to be registering for and see what if they have a book list. And if they do, if you can buy secondhand, it'll give you that option, let you know what you pay for a new book and for a secondhand book. Also, meal plans. For those of you who don't like to cook or don't have time to cook or just don't want to cook, you can actually sign up for the meal plan. So that's a website you can check into, see what suits your needs best. You might want to try it for the first term and then decide if you want to go and continue or do something else in the second term. And if you have a car, I have to say that I would have to honestly say that getting around the city, the peninsula, with a car is not the easiest thing to do. As I said, it's a university town. Students come in to a lot of different universities from around the country, so we do have a lot of congestion with traffic on the roadway. Walking is much easier. The bus system works very well, and the bike system is probably your preferred mode of transportation. If you do have a car, you can get parking, but it's limited parking. So if at all possible, I would suggest you use a different form of transportation. Okay, and then we come to registration. So I've looked at where you're from in Canada, and I've looked at what programs you've registered for or you've been admitted to. And we have two types of fee structures for graduate programs at Dalhousie. One is a program fee and one is a per course fee. Program fee students need to stay registered every single term. And that's the slide you're seeing in front of you. Program fee students need to register for REGN $99.99 every single term, or they're considered withdrawn, not here. So make sure you always register for REGN $99.99. But that only makes you a student. That only gives you a student status. In addition to REGN $99.99, you need to register for a thesis or a course or a seminar or a directed study, something besides $99.99. So you'll see on that slide, that CRN stands for course registration number. The fall CRN for REGN $99.99 is listed there along with the winter and the summer. Well, the summer one actually, sorry, isn't there. That'll be, it'll be posted probably later in the fall. Maybe we'll go to the next slide and we'll talk about different types of programs. So I know that we have people who are in the MA, MSc, PhD, MBA, Masters of Applied Science, Master of Nursing. Those are all program fee degrees. Those are the programs that you need to register in every single term. If you don't register, the system sees you as withdrawn and you're no longer a student. So make sure you stay registered. For course fee students, I know we have some architecture, public admin, library and information studies, health admin students, and resource and environmental management, and social work students. I remember seeing you in the list. So you're for course fee students. That means that you pay per course. And you need to stay registered 2 terms out of 3 for every academic year. If you miss 2 terms of registration, then the system considers you not here and withdrawn. So make sure you stay registered at least 2 terms out of 3. So when you do register, you're going to want to talk to your graduate coordinator and get some direction on what they are recommending you register in the first term that you're here. And there may be questions, what is a course fee student, what do they pay for, and what does a program fee student pay for? The course fee student, as I said, pays for each course they register in. The program fee student registers for the program. So say your program for the whole year, starting from September to August, costs $8,000 as a rough figure. So rather than charge you $8,000 in September, we divide that over 3 terms for the most part. Some of you are in programs where you pay the fee twice a year, but say you pay it 3 times a year, we just divide the $8,000 by 3 and charge that to you September, January, and in May. After you've paid your program fee, and some of you will pay a program fee for 1 year, some will pay for 2 years, some will pay for 3 years. After you've paid your required program fee, you become a continuing student automatically, and your fees are reduced considerably once you're a continuing fee student. I hope you have some questions, and at the end you'll have a chance to ask some questions, and hopefully I'll be able to answer them for you. All right. And registration and deadlines for registration. If you're receiving funding from the university, you need to stay registered, you need to get registered for September by August 2nd. This allows the Faculty of Graduate Studies and student accounts and payroll to get all of the paperwork in order so that they can administer your pay, so that you do get paid properly on September 27th. So whatever it is that you're going to receive as a scholarship, before you see that money, we actually take the money out to cover your tuition. So the tuition comes out of your scholarship, and then the rest of the money is yours to spend as you need to spend it. If you're not receiving funding from the university, then your deadline for registration is September 5th. Okay. So here are some dates that we have for you, and you might want to just print this off at some point so you know the last day to register. To change your first day, you need to be registered long before September 20th. But so long as you're registered, you can add and drop classes up until September 20th with no consequences whatsoever. And in fact, if you dropped everything by September 20th, you would get a full tuition refund by that date. After September 20th, you would not get a full refund. You would continue to be able to get some money back. The later you get into the term, the less money, the less of the refund that you'll receive. We also have a deadline for you to receive a grade of W. If you drop a class after October 7th, you'll receive a grade of W. It has absolutely no academic weight. It is not good. It is not bad. After November 4th, if it's a one-term course, if you drop a class after November 4th, then it's too late to drop it without any academic penalty. There is a penalty, and the grade would be a failing grade. So you certainly want to avoid the F. The W is fine, but the F is not so good. I think I've covered everything all right. So there might be questions. By all means, let me know. Paying tuition. Dalhousie does not allow students to pay tuition with their credit cards. We do have a lot of other ways for you to pay your tuition. We've got it listed there. You can certainly send us a check or a money order. You can come in person and pay by Interact. And since your fees are not due until after you're here on campus, that's definitely an option. You can also do a wire transfer if you're an international student, which nobody in this webinar is. You can also pay through your internet banking. Your scholarships, as we said before, your scholarships and your student loans go right to your student account, and your tuition comes out, and then the money left on your account is for you. We have some students who pay by a third party. Some students, if you're a full-time employee at Dalhousie, you might qualify for a tuition waiver, and of course we'll always take your cash. And then finally, you might have other questions that you need more detailed information on. I would suggest you go to Money Matters. That's a website. It covers some general questions. You might have something more specific, and then in those cases we advise you to contact us directly. Well, that concludes the formal part of this presentation, but we are thinking you have some questions for us, so by all means let us know.
So now is your opportunity to ask questions. So if you have a question, please type it into that chat box on the bottom left-hand side of the screen, and we will sort of compile your questions, and I'll pose them to Wendy, and she'll try to answer them the best she can. So over to you guys. All right, so the first question is regarding the health care that Dalhousie offers. So just wondering what the health plan covers. Wendy, I know this isn't quite your area, but you can address it somewhat.
It's not my area. The Dalhousie Student Union actually administers the health plan. It covers basic health care needs like medication. I'm pretty sure it has dental coverage. I'm really not the right person to ask that. You can certainly go to the Dalhousie Student Union and ask that question, or you can send us an email and I'll send it on to the Dalhousie Student Union on your behalf. So I don't know if my email address is here anywhere. I think this is probably as good a time as any to give you my email address. And I don't want to give you the wrong information about the health coverage, so I'd rather pass the question on so you get the exact answer you need. So my email address is Wendy, W-E-N-D-Y, Fletcher, F-L-E-T-C-H-E-R, @dal.ca.
All right, thanks for that question. And I know that the DSU, the Dalhousie Student Union, administers that plan, so they'll definitely have all the information about what specifically that covers. But that's not really our area of expertise. So the second question is from someone who's they've gone onto Dal Online and added their courses, and they're wondering if that's all that there is to registration, if they have to do anything else besides add their courses to register.
No, that's all you need to do. So long as you register for well, depending on what program you're in. If you're in a program fee degree, you have to add REG and $99.99 and whatever classes. You may have already had an email from your department advising you as to what classes you need to register in. If not, you should probably run by the classes you've registered for with your department to make sure that you're not missing something specific.
Great. All right, the next question is about scholarships. So the question is, if I have a scholarship which is greater in value than the tuition, do I get the balance of the funds?
Yes, you do get the balance of the funds, and you can actually set something up with student accounts. They can put the money right into your bank account for you if that's what you wish.
Awesome. That's easy. These are pretty good questions. All right, the next question is about the bus pass. So they're wondering, where do you pick up your bus pass and get your student card from?
There's it's Seymour Street, which is right off of University Avenue. Right, it's part of the main campus, where you can get your banner card and your picture taken, and you can get your bus pass at the same time. I'm not sure if we have any agriculture students here today. We have a campus in Truro. It's about an hour's drive outside downtown Halifax, and they have their own banner office and their own processing on that campus. I don't know exactly what building it is. I'm sorry.
The U-Pass is actually a sticker that they just stick right on your student ID. So when you go to pick up your student ID, they'll give you your bus pass at the same time. Okay, the next question is about auditing a course. So Lisa wants to know, how do you audit a course? Is an audited course included in tuition for program fee students?
For a program fee student, any course you take that is required for your degree, there's no additional tuition. So if you need to audit a course, it's not unusual. I'm trying to think of an example. You might be an international development student, and international development studies student. You might be an MA in that program. You may need to, you may be doing some work in Mexico. You may need to develop some expertise in Spanish. So you might take an undergrad class in Spanish. You might not want to take it as a credit, so you would take it as an audit. So long as it's approved by your supervisor and most importantly by your graduate coordinator, if you're a program fee student, you're not going to be charged any additional fees. For course fee students, you pay for each course you take.
Great. Okay, so this question is about provincial health insurance. So in order to continue getting provincial health insurance from my home province, I need a letter from someone at the university indicating that I am a student. Who would I ask for this?
No problem. We write those letters all the time in the Faculty of Graduate Studies. If you go to the Faculty of Graduate Studies website, you go to, it says MI, and it has, am I a prospective student or a current student? For this kind of information, you want to consider yourself a current student. Click on Current Student. On the right-hand side, you'll see a list of items. Click on Forms and Documents. There's a form in there that says Confirmation Letter Request Form. So just fill that out. You can email it, fax it, deliver it to us any way you want. There's a 48-hour turnaround for us to complete those letters.
Great. Okay, so the next question is, once we register, how do we know when we have to pay the tuition?
Well, once you register, fees will be generated on a student account for you, and the deadline for payment of fees is always around the third week of the term. I think in September it's something like the 20th, 21st of September. If you don't pay your fees on time, student accounts will let you know. They'll be after you for your money. Unless you're a scholarship student, and then they know that the money is coming from your scholarship on the 27th of September.
Great. This question is about weather. So is the weather bad enough in the winter that I would be struggling to walk to campus if I live 15 minutes away?
Look, honestly, that's a great question because there's no really good answer to give you. It's possible. We have some really awful weather sometimes in December. We can have a lot of rain and then it will freeze and it's treacherous outside. But that's not normal. That's not standard. It's not common. And if it happens, the whole city is probably going to be, held up somewhere trying to get around. So you'll not be alone. It's not normal, but it definitely can, and I'm sad to say, does happen.
So is 15 minutes away being okay with distance?
Normally, 15 minutes away would be perfect, actually. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. All right. All right, so for scholarship students, is the entire tuition taken off in September for the entire year?
No, just for the term. We only charge you for one term at a time, so we only take the money off one term at a time. So your September payment is actually bigger than the payment that you'll receive October, November, and December to take care of that. The money you receive in January is the same way. We charge you fees in January, we give you more money in January, we take more money away from you in January. And then you have the same amount of money for February, March, and April.
Great, good question. Okay, this one is about the DREAMS program. How do I register for courses that are offered under the DREAMS program?
Well, I'm so glad to hear somebody asking about the DREAMS program. It's not that well known, especially for students that aren't here yet. You probably should talk to, I'd say, Mary White, or in the chemistry department. There's a number of faculty who administer that program. I think Mary White does coordinate it, and she can let you know exactly what courses you should be in. You may or may not know that program is a joint program between physics, engineering, and chemistry. Yeah, I would talk to them directly. And again, if you don't know who to contact there, send me an email and I'll forward it on for you.
Great. Okay, so I have added the REGN, but I am given an instructor approval required notification when attempting to add courses. Does that mean additional approval needs to be sought, or that I've missed something?
Well, I wish I knew what program you were in, because I think that, for example, computer science, those students do need to actually speak to someone before they're given approval to register. Okay, so you're in English. Thank you for letting us know. Again, REGN 9999, I think you were able to register for that. The English department must be requiring their students to check in with them before they register, probably for good reason. So I would suggest you talk to the folks in English and find out, how you get that approval before you get here. It's possible they want you to be here so that they can actually have a seminar with you or something to talk about registration. You can send me an email. I'll just forward it on to the English department for you. You can contact them directly and suggest that I advised you to contact them directly.
Great. Could you please discuss the teleconferencing used for distance students? What are the system requirements, and are there ways of recording presentations?
Oh boy, that's another one. I cannot answer that question at all. You'll find in the Faculty of Graduate Studies, we're really good at sort of general type of questions, general information about, administration at Dalhousie. When it comes to class or program-specific questions, we do need to go to the departments. So, and we do not administer the online courses. So I would suggest you contact the department. It's a great question, for sure. They want to make sure that you do have the setup that you need to register online, or just to register for the classes online. Again, if you don't get a satisfactory answer, or you don't know who to contact in your home department, send an email to me and I'll forward it on for you. I'm going to be busy, but I'm happy to find the answers for you.
Okay, so part of the Master of Social Work program involves the option of taking 2 external electives. Do I need to pay tuition to the external school, or do I pay through Dal? And also, do I need to fully register with that other school?
Normally, students who take a class at another university, they take it on what we call a letter of permission. Again, that document can be found on our website. You go into our website, go to current students, go to forms and documents, you'll see letter of permission. You fill out that form, you get approval from your home department, and then it comes to the Faculty of Graduate Studies for our approval. And as social work students, this isn't the case for all programs, but for course fee students, like social work is, you do need to register at the other university and pay fees there. You will not pay fees at Dalhousie as a per course fee student for a class you're taking at another university. Now, the other part of that question was, do you need to apply to the other university? I can tell you what happens at Dalhousie. I can't guarantee that's what happens at other Canadian universities. I assume it does, but I can't guarantee it. So at Dalhousie, if somebody from St. Mary's University down the street gets permission to take a class at Dalhousie, they have to apply to Dalhousie, use the letter of permission, so it's a straight-in entry, and then they register for a class here. So I would say at the other university you will have to apply, but using the letter of permission, it'll be a straight-in entry. Hope that helps.
So we have another weather-related question. Are the sidewalks cleared in Halifax in the winter?
Well, some days they're not cleared as well as you'd like them to be cleared. That's the honest truth. For the most part, you can get through on foot, but there are days that just it's not pleasant. And again, all I can say is when that happens, and it's not regular. It's not a regular situation, but it does happen. You know, everybody is held up, and nobody's happy about it. All I can say is there might be some pleasure in the misery there. You won't be alone.
Yeah, one student points out that it also depends on your level of mobility as well.
Well, of course it does. Yeah, that's a very good point. Yeah.
All right. So what is the actual first day of school, and are there orientations for new students in August? How early would you recommend arriving if I'm completely new to the city?
I'd say by middle of August would be ideal. I think you should be looking for housing now, though. At this point, we have not decided if we'll do another pre-arrival webinar. We may, so stay tuned. You are getting newsletters from the Faculty of Graduate Studies every couple of weeks. I think you're mostly all on our Facebook page. We also will be Twittering information. So stay tuned. We may do another webinar between now and September. We do have an on-site orientation scheduled for September 4th in the morning.
First day of school.
And the first day of classes is the following day, September 5th.
All right, I've registered for Region 9999 and my core courses, but not for my electives as of yet. Do I need to register for the electives to make the August 2nd deadline? For this?
Well, you're a scholarship student, obviously. If you're in our Region 9999 and another class, we're happy. That's all you need to do as far as we're concerned. The other electives, the only thing to be concerned about there is, will they be filled? It's not really likely that they'll be filled, but it's up to you. You're taking a bit of a chance if you wait.
Is it too late to apply to be a teaching assistant, and if not, how would one go about applying?
It's definitely not too late to apply to be a teaching assistant. The first point of contact is if you have a supervisor, to contact your supervisor. If you don't have a supervisor, contact your graduate coordinator, and everybody has a graduate coordinator. If you don't know who your graduate coordinator is, again, go to the Faculty of Graduate Studies website, and this time go to Programs. Click on Programs, and all of our programs are listed there alphabetically. Scroll down until you come to your program, and then you'll find the grad coordinator information and contact information.
I'm in the Clinical Vision Science program. I'm wondering when I would get Christmas and summer breaks. Are they program specific?
No, those are not program specific. We have I don't actually know the date that we leave. I know what date we leave for Christmas as staff. The last day of exams will be sometime around the 20th of December, I'm guessing, but that's roughly when it is. But you may finish exams 2 weeks before that. And then you would be required to come to school, back to school, usually the first Tuesday after New Year's Day.
Summer would be.
And summer varies as well. And actually in clinical vision science, presumably you would be, if you're doing a master's degree, you'd be doing a thesis, so you might be doing your research over the summer. And again, because it's a program fee, you need to stay registered every single term.
Are there any graduate student groups or clubs that would help us meet other students? Where would I go to learn about them and connect with them?
Absolutely, yeah. The first place to go would be the Dalhousie Association of Grad Studies, DAGS, as it's well known. And we don't actually have the website for DAGS on this PowerPoint, but I think what we should... It's just, okay, it's easy. It's DAGS.ca. So you can just contact them. Great. Thanks.
I'll add as well that the Dalhousie Student Union usually holds a society fair early in September, and that's basically all the clubs that are at Dalhousie, which are open to any student, both undergrad and grad. So there's several hundred clubs and societies that you can join for sports and volunteering and just kind of general fun. So I'm sure that you'll find something that you're interested in, and if not that, there is also a group that's specific to graduate students. So.
Okay, thank you.
All right, we don't have any other questions at this point. Does anybody else have any last minute questions that they'd like to ask?
Okay, well if you think of anything, just send me an email, and if I don't know the answer, I'll find out for you. Thank you all very much for attending today. It seems from our end that it went quite smoothly. I'm really pleased to have such a broad number of people register for this session today from so many different programs and from so many different parts of Canada. So thank you. If that's it,
yeah.
Thank you. Thank you,
See you in September.